So it's time for my review of The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. It's the final of the Hobbit movies that I'll be reviewing, but it's not my last video based on The Hobbit, as next week I'll be doing a ranking of every Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit live-action movie. So I'll be ranking those 6 movies in a video coming out next week. Really excited for that, but now on to the movie. So, as I said, the trilogy as a whole, it gets a lot of crap, but I've always enjoyed it. This viewing of Battle of the Five Armies was actually different from the other two, because the other two I've watched multiple times, but this viewing of the third Hobbit movie, I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters over 5 years ago, so it was a lot more of a fresh experience to me than the other two. And I have to say I did really enjoy it, but there are a lot of criticisms that I had with it. Number one, when it comes to the criticisms, of course, Kili and Tariel's relationship between the elf and the dwarf that wasn't in the books, with one having a small role, and then, I don't know, it's just weird. Luckily, I definitely felt a lot less like there was a Legolas kind of love triangle here. I like that. But it felt weird because it just felt so out of place, and like they had maybe 5 scenes together throughout the whole trilogy, but all of a sudden they're in love, and it's just really weird. I get it was probably to make, Kili's death more impactful, because in the book he's one of the 3 hobbits who died, and in the book, of course, they did give him just kind of a dishonorable death, just kind of thing. Oh yeah, Kili died in battle. So I guess they did want to flesh that out more for the movie, and for that they said give him a love relationship. But I feel like they could have just made it more impactful by giving him a better and more memorable relationship with his brother. And speaking of which, the death of Philly, I didn't like very much. Just because, he just got stabbed, he got dropped. That was the last time he was mentioned. Even, his brother barely reacted to his death. He got, he screamed, a little with, a face of sadness. And then he just didn't care the rest of the movie. He just kept on fighting. I felt like it was, that one, they tried to make it impactful, but they just didn't really work, because they didn't really show enough reaction to that death. Yeah, Philly and Kili's deaths and the relationship with Tariel, I have a lot of issues with that. One thing I don't like, this is a bit of a minor complaint, but there are a lot of scenes in the first half of the movie where they're we'll be playing voiceovers of older dialogue to kind of represent what the character's thinking, but I just don't like that. It felt really out of place, because I feel like it's one of the first times this was even used in the Lord of the Rings series, and all of a sudden it's just used multiple times in the first hour of this movie. And it really kind of brought me out of the experience. I was just thinking, why is this here? This doesn't really make any sense, and it's really weird. Anyway, that's the last of my complaints. On to a few things I'm mixed about. One thing I'm mixed about is the CGI. Of course, the CGI is really good, really well done. But there are a lot of moments where it's very glaringly, that's CGI, that's, totally CGI, 100% CGI. Especially with, a lot of the action shots and orcs and stuff. And while I do think the CGI is done really well, I really wish they had blended a lot of that more with practical effects from what it looks like. Because a lot of it looks it looks very unrealistic in some moments, even if the CGI is good. So that's a bit of an issue I had. And another thing I'm mixed about is Gandalf's inclusion to this movie, because he doesn't really do anything. He has that first scene with Galadriel and Saruman and Elrond. It's good to see them all again one last time. But then after that scene, all he really does is warn the people of Lake Town about the orcs, but none of them believe him anyway. And then he takes place in the battle, even though he doesn't really have much of action scenes in battle. And then he walks Bilbo home, and then I don't really even like their final scene together. It's because it's more of him just warning Bilbo about the ring and less of a heartfelt goodbye. So I wasn't a big fan of that. So it always is good seeing Gandalf again, especially played by Ian McKellen. But I just feel like I didn't do enough with Gandalf in this final movie, especially considering it's Ian McKellen's last time playing the character. They could have utilized him better. But I did love his final scene of the movie, where they kind of tied it right back into Gandalf and Bilbo's first appearance in The Lord of the Rings. Really like that. But anyway, so on to the stuff I do like. Of course, I like the final scene. The action in this movie is absolutely amazing. It starts off with Run really cool, Smaug attacking the city scene. I really like that, and kind of his chat with Bard. And then the whole Battle of Five Armies is really well shot. A lot of great action. And the movie basically starts with one action scene, 45 minutes of no action but more character development, and then one hour-long big battle. And I'm okay with that. It really works for me, with a lot of action, but then there's still time for character growth and stuff. Speaking of character growth, there's the whole thing with Thorin's dragon sickness. I actually thought they did that pretty well, besides how it ended kind of quickly. but with Thorin kind of becoming kind of possessed by the gold mentally, and he's obsessed with it in the Arkenstone. I do like how they kind of portrayed that in the movie, but I like kind of his final scenes and his redemption near the end. He had a great final battle with Azog, and I loved his kind of final words to Bilbo. He had a great scene with Bilbo earlier in the movie that I really loved, where Bilbo was talking about wanting to go home, and you could tell they have become really great friends between this whole journey. It does make that scene where kind of a dragon-sick Thorin tries to kill Bilbo a lot more impactful, so I think that worked. Once again, Martin Freeman does a great job as Bilbo, even if he does have a lesser role in this movie than he does in previous ones, the last two. But I like his final scenes. I like kind of his whole character development with Thorin. And it is fun seeing him in this role. He is really good in it, Martin Freeman. And then, really, I like a lot of the character development with Bard. They really made him kind of step up more into a leader in that development. Kind of his relationship with Kid, someone trying to help Lake Town and not trying to be... He's not trying to be the leader, he's just trying to help the people of Lake Town. I thought that's really good. And then there's another character, Alfred, who people compare as just a knockoff Grima Wormtongue. And he's kind of like, this the guy who's really greedy and wants money. But I think he's different from Grima Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings, because Grima's more of a tragic character, but this dude from The Hobbit, he's more kind of like a counter to Bard. Bard's like the brave, selfless guy who cares about the people of Lake Town. Alfred's kind of the greedy suck-up who just wants to get away with his life and some money. So I think he was kind of a cool counter to Bard. This movie had a lot of great shots, like with a lot of beautiful shots kind of the battle and Erebor. Great CGI. I love like all the locations. I thought Legolas was fun in the movie. I thought this movie had a lot of good ties to Lord of the Rings, kind of leading right into it in multiple scenes. And overall, it's just a really fun movie. I get why a lot of people don't like it, but I personally enjoy it a lot. I would give The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies an 8 out of 10, same as Desolation of Smaug. And overall, I really love all of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies, and I really enjoy them. I'm always fun to go back and watch them again. But I hope you like the video. I hope you enjoy the ranking coming soon, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.